change that you've seen over the past year or so? What's been the biggest change in your life? What's been the biggest change that you've seen in your life over the past 1 year or so? Your life changed? Let's get some answers in from our participants and attendees as well. Technology, of course, Nazar saying technology is taking over. Remote working, Jangir is saying. Isolation, Mark, of course. Yeah, nobody wants to meet anybody anymore. Asif Saab saying meeting on Zoom, of course, our life and the way it changed. Uncertainty, working 24/7. For some of you kids, of course, homeschooling as well. That's also had an impact on the way we work, working from home, robotic life. What about, let me ask you guys a question while you're going ahead with this. How many hours a day, let me rephrase it. Are you working more now, mentally, not physically? Are you working more today than you were last year? This time last year? Are you working more this time now than you were at this time last year? Are you working more mentally? Are you more engaged? Yes, of course. Overwhelmingly, yes, of course. Lots of yeses, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's one of the reasons why I believe we're working more. And the reason why I asked you the question in terms of stress is human beings maybe weren't supposed to work like this, right? If you think about 20 years ago, guys, 20 years ago, right? Most of us, we didn't even have access to mobile phones, right? 20, 25 years ago, you didn't have access to even mobile phones. 10 years ago, most of us did not have access to smartphones. So when you left your work, you left your work, right? Very few people brought laptops home and so on. Now you're working all the time. Remember, my friends, we are the first generation in human history that has lived with access to instant information and without access to instant information. Don't you think this is going to have an impact on our health? Don't you think this is going to have an impact on our relationships? Don't you think it's going to have an impact on our listening skills? Right? Of course it is, because we're living. I mean, most of us don't know it. We didn't learn this in school. I also want to talk to you very critically about how change is happening around us and the speed of change. Would you believe that from 1965, out of the Fortune 500 companies, the biggest 500 companies in the world, only 11 remain today? I've asked you this question for those of you who attended ICAP sessions in the past that I've run. I'm going to ask you again in the chat box really quickly. Anybody remember the company? Remember a company called Kodak? Anybody remember a company called Kodak? Let me get some yeses and some nos. Let me get some answers in. Of course, let me get some answers in. We've got more than 70 people here. All right, for those of you who remember Kodak, what happened to Kodak? What happened to Kodak? Love to Ali saying Kodak moment, right? What happened? What happened? Ghulam Saab saying it's gone, it's gone. What happened to Kodak? What happened to Kodak? Love to hear from you. Jahangir saying couldn't keep up. Asif saying failed to evolve. Naveed saying Corona. Come on, there is no Corona then, man. Never changed, didn't change. Yeah, very good. Well, actually, it's a bit of a discussion to have here. Jahangir saying same like Nokia. Yeah, same like Ericsson. Actually, a little bit different in Nokia. In 1997, Kodak had 87% of the world's market share of new smartphones. In 2010, it declared bankruptcy. People often say it was because they refused to change as one of the reasons, but actually, the real reason was they thought, we'll keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. People often say digital camera, right? They say the digital camera brought the end of Kodak. Believe it or not, the technology for the digital camera was invented by an engineer at Kodak. And he went to his bosses and he said, look, I have this great idea. And I'm sure like many of your bosses do, they said, or you do, they said, go make film. We make film. This is what we've always done. This is the way we've done it, right? Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid says, change or you will be changed. Change or you will be changed. Tony Robbins says, if you work the same way for 10 years, you haven't worked 10 years, you worked your first year 10 times. I guess the question to my colleagues here, and we've got more close to 80 people, what a successful webinar this is. I ask you this question, are we doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Are we working the same way for 10 years, saying we've worked 10 years, I have 10 years of experience? Actually, we've just repeated our first year 10 times. So these are the kind of conversations I'd like us to have today. I'd also like to talk to you about what happens when people operate under high levels of stress and anxiety. For those of you who have attended some of these sessions in the past, I want to tell you that there is a real, tangible health, emotional, mental impact and impact of working under high levels of change and under high levels of stress and anxiety. Not to scare my fellow finance people, I think we've got a lot of finance people on the call, of course. When they have done the autopsy, when somebody dies, they do an autopsy. When they have done the autopsy on the brains of 55-year-old senior finance managers, their brains look like the same as 85-year-old Alzheimer patients. Not to scare you a little bit, but just to tell you, this is what happens when you operate under high levels of stress and anxiety. This is what happens when you operate under high levels of stress and anxiety for a long period of time. I'll talk about a few things quickly because I think it'll help you not just in dealing with the new normal, in managing yourself through the new normal, because I want Momina to speak a lot about her perspective on coaching and about change management from her perspective. But let me spend the next 5 to 10 minutes talking to you about what stress does, what a reactive response to change does, okay? So follow with me. This is an important part of our conversation. I want to talk to you about reactive stress, right? Reactive change. Something happens to you you're not ready for. Oh my God, all of a sudden COVID hit. I was in the aviation industry. I was in an industry that was deeply impacted, retail, pharma, hospitals, of course, were deeply impacted as well. Aviation, hospitality, hotels. If you were an industry that got badly hit with COVID, the typical stages of reactive change for you or for your organization was shock, right? Shock. I can't believe this is happening. Denial. Maybe some of us still in denial, right? It'll go back to the way it used to be. So shock and denial. And then maybe some of us, as I'm speaking about this, I want you to think about where you are. Shock, denial. Third stage, paralysis. Oh my God, I can't work like this. My life is over. Shock, denial, paralysis, anger. Some people angry, just angry. Then there's hurt. Some people just hurt. Still 5 years later, 10 years later, they're still hurt. It wasn't me. It was him. It was her. It was my company, right? And then at some point, healing and acceptance takes place. That's like the bottom of the curve, right? And then on the way up, you have some new challenges. You've got some new strengths, and then you've got success. Let me ask our friends here. We've got close to 80 people on the line. Love to hear from all of you in the chat box. Where do you find yourself today? Where do you find yourself? Are you in shock mode still? Are you in denial mode? Are you in paralysis mode? Are you in anger stage? Are you in a hurt stage? Or are you acceptance? Exactly, Jahangir saying, I'm in the kind of acceptance and healing stage. Might as well get on with it. No point talking about what could have been, should have been. And then on the way back, then you've got some new strengths and some new confidence, and then success. So Ali saying, I'm just numb. I just can't wait for this to be over. I just want things to go back to the way they used to be. Yeah, and Ali, maybe things might never go back to the way they used to be. I was reading a fantastic article the other day, which said that human beings have something called the normalcy bias, where we believe that things will go back always to the way they used to be. Maybe in some ways, maybe it won't. And Jeremy saying, kind of stuck in the anger stage there. How do we get out of that? So this is what happens, right? When we're dealing with reactive change, we have high levels of stress, high levels of anxiety, high levels of cortisol. The first thing that goes under high levels of stress and anxiety, guys, quickly, I'd like to cover it. Want your attention and participation as we talk about a critical thing here. The first thing to go under high levels of stress and anxiety is listening skills. Listening skills, something that Momina does so much of as she coaches her clients, talking about listening skills. How do we become better listeners? Wahab, I'll talk about focus in 1 second. Absolutely, with high levels of cortisol in the blood, your peripheral vision shuts down. You actually become more focused, which means your ability to think creatively, innovatively shuts down as well. But like Saad said, listening skills. If you can write this down, if you're somewhere where you can write this down, please do. And I'm sure the session is being recorded, so you'll be able to see it later as well on YouTube. If you want to take notes, there's 5 levels of listening. There's 5 levels of listening. I've covered it in some of the sessions before, but I think you'll have a lot of value if you write this down. There's 5 levels of listening. There's level 1, which is called ignoring, which is what some of the people who have their cameras off are doing right now. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Level 1, ignoring. Level 2, pretending, which is what Asif Zaman is doing right now. Level 1, ignoring. Level 2, pretending. Level 3, selective listening. Selective listening, which is what you listen to what you want to listen to, which is what I practice at my home every day. No, no, kidding. The moment I hear credit card, I say, what did you say? No, I'm kidding. So ignoring and pretending and selective, and level 4, active and attentive listening, kind of what you're doing right now. And then, of course, at the highest level of listening, which is empathy, empathic listening, which is empathy, which is empathic listening. May I please ask you in the chat box, love to engage with everybody, love to hear your comments. What level of listening do you find yourself operating at these days? What level of listening do you find yourself operating at work, at home, under high levels of stress? For those of you who said 8s and 9s and 10s and the scale is not big enough, where did you find yourself? Are you on ignoring? Are you on pretending? Are you on selective? Are you on active? Or are you on that highest level of listening, which is empathy, which is empathic listening, where I listen not with the intent to reply, I listen with the intent to understand. I don't listen with the intent to reply, I listen with the intent to understand. There's one more thing, very selective, depending on who's talking. There's one more thing I'd like to cover, and then I'm going to turn it over to Momina as she talks about some of her ideas. Let me see what Ram is saying. He said, when you're free of all past perceptions and misconceptions, you're fully available to the conversation you're having, then you're truly listening, right? Exactly. Unconscious bias, Ram, what a great conversation that is. As managers, I know, mashallah, some of you are leaders and managers in your organizations, and whether you're a managerial title or not, all of us are leaders in the communities that we work in or our homes. Very critical for us to know, as a manager, as a leader, do we have unconscious biases, especially in a place like Dubai, in the UAE? Do we find ourselves saying things like people from that country are like this, people from this background are like that? That's the first problem managers and leaders need to get rid of, unconscious bias. I want to talk about one more thing that stress does, that anxiety does, that improper change management. If you do not manage change proactively, if you do not manage your reactions to change, that directly results in stress. I've already told you what stress does to health. I've already told you what stress does to listening skills. Let me tell you what stress does to decision making. I know we've got a lot of very educated people, ICAP, members, and some of you are CFAs and ACCAs and CCAs, CCF, FCS. I don't know what you guys are, but whatever your titles are, I want to tell you what happens under high levels of stress and anxiety. Quickly, in the chat box. Love to engage with you. Does it ever happen to you where you're stressed, you're nervous, you're anxious? Do you ever notice you get the butterflies in your stomach and your palms become sweaty? Ever notice that? You get the butterflies in your stomach and your palms become sweaty under high levels of stress and anxiety, right? For those of you who experience that, do you know why that happens? Do you know why that happens? Quickly, in the chat box. Love to hear from you. We've got about 80 odd people on the call. Thank you, Rahman. Exactly, Jahangir, talking about, kind of hormones. Yeah, but why? Why does that happen? Why? Why does that happen? Yeah, under high levels of stress and anxiety. Yeah, of course, the body's response, right? Jangi talking about adrenaline, right? Under high levels of adrenaline, the brain says, we're going to fight or we're going to run. Yeah, of course, very good. The parasympathetic response, of course, adrenaline. Khushbu talks about Jahangir saying cortisol, actually not so much cortisol. Let me ask you, wherever you're sitting right now, ICAP, wherever you're sitting right now, ICAP members, imagine wherever you're sitting right now. Imagine the door was to open and a tiger was to walk in, right? Now you've got two choices. Either you run from the tiger or you analyze the tiger, or you either you run from the tiger or you fight the tiger, not analyze. Nobody would analyze the tiger, not even a CFA, not even a ICAP, accountant mindset would analyze the tiger. You would fight or you would run. Now, these days, we don't have tigers, but we have managers and we have deadlines and we have bills to pay. So anytime you get a nasty email from your boss, you get the same response. The brain says, send all the blood to the bigger muscles, the arms and to the legs. The feeling of the blood leaving your muscles and going to your arms and to the legs is the butterflies in your stomach. And because there's more blood in your hands, your palms sweat to reduce the temperature. ICAP members, why am I telling you this? Because just like the blood leaves the stomach, guess which other area of the body the blood leaves? The brain. So under high levels of stress and anxiety, your decision-making, your ability to think creatively, innovatively, strategically is deeply impacted. So I just want you to know, and for the first section that I wanted to speak to you about, I wanted to talk to you about what improper, not proper, reactive management of change does. You find yourself like the Kodak, Nokia, Ericsson, irrelevant, stuck in some stage, angry, upset, from a health perspective, from a listening perspective. That's what the problem is. Now, in the next little while we have together, starting from Momina, let's talk a little bit about how do we handle change better. I wanted to set up the why with you, the why this conversation is important, and hopefully I've scared you enough that you'll stay with us for the remaining of the call. So we talk about how do we handle change. Of course, one of the ways in which you can handle change, if you cannot do it yourself, is to hire brilliant people like Momina, who's doing a fantastic job as a life coach, talking about how she can help people become the best version of themselves. So for 15 minutes or so, Momina, I'd love to have you talk about your piece. If you want to share your slides, please go ahead. Thank you, co-host, and over to you, and I'll come back and see you in about 13 to 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
Can you see my slides?
Yeah, very good. We can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I am Momina, and I'm fellow chartered accountant from ICAP and ACA from ICW. On top of this, I have certification in digital transformation from University of California. This is all about my academics, but you might be thinking then, what the hell this lady is doing with life coaching? Well, I have a fire in me to follow my passion. And my passion.
Momina, can you make the screen white? I think it's coming, slide. It's not coming full screen. And your picture also, you are on the mobile. Can you make it?
Yes.
Can you make it? Yeah, yes. You can horizontal, so it will come.
Okay. So Asif, I'm really bad at housekeeping things.
Can you move? Yeah, if it is here, you can move like that, so it will come. Okay.
Momina, just ignore Asif. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Actually, okay. Anyway, well, I was telling you that I have fire in me to follow my passion, and my passion and mission is to continuous growth of you and me. Therefore, in order to serve you to the best quality, I fully immerse into life coaching, training with Tony Robbins. He's the world's best coach, life coach, and psychologist, Chloe Medana. Now I'm a certified life coach from their school in the US. So in this time that we are together, I will explain you what life coaching is and what you can expect if you decide to work with a life coach. So my goal as a life coach is to help you to make a plan for your life that you want to live and you really deserve. So some people, they have different goals. Some want to have marital happiness, business success, health, energy, better parenting, contribution, and some want everything. So my goal is to help you to achieve whatever your goal is to make a plan and identify these steps to achieve that. So today I want to give you an idea how I go about doing this, and I want to make it as practical as possible. So be ready, because I want to make you feel that when you leave the Zoom room, you feel that you have already taken a coaching session with me. So guys, on a piece of paper, can you write down what are your goals for 5 years? What do you want your life to be like in 5 years from now? It can be very simple, like marital happiness, business success, health, energy, anything, but just write it down. Or you can type in the chat too, so that I know. Just a few minutes for you. Now I think you have write it down. So close your eyes and think for a moment, for a life that you want 5 years from now, what has to happen 1 year from now? Just think about it and write few words about it. So maybe you can think that I must lose 20 pounds, I must lose 20 pounds, make the men or women of my dreams, change career, successful business, unshakable confidence, starting my business, change career, anything that comes to your mind. And once you're done with your 1 year goal, keep your eyes closed and think for a while. For the life, oh, somebody's saying service, promotion, money, get a good vibe. Amazing. So you want everything. So keep your eyes closed, and for the life that you want 1 year from now, what has to happen for you this month? And these are your basic steps, the first steps that you will take to take charge of your life, who you want to become and how you want to live. Just for a few moments, think about it and write it down. You can also type in the chat. So have a good vacation. Amazing. Okay, so the first step in my coaching is to help you to create a vision of what you want and to identify the first steps you need to take in order to fulfill that vision. Okay, new job in order to come. That's great. So the second step is to help you to identify what are the challenges that you might encounter while fulfilling your dreams or while fulfilling your vision, what you think the life you should be. So for most people, the biggest challenge is what they focus on, what they think most of the time, and what they believe. So for example, if your first step is to take a licensing exam and you are thinking that it's too difficult, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have resources, I'm not capable of, or I don't have a table or chair to start a study with. So tell me, what are the chances that you will succeed? And if your first step is to meet future beloved partner and you're thinking that you are too thin, too fat, too tall, too short, I'm not interesting, I'm not attractive, what are the chances that you will succeed? So the second step is to help you to guide away from these self-defeating beliefs and empower yourself into thinking of thought that makes it possible to fulfill your vision of the life. So how do I get to give up these thoughts? Of course, these are not easy, and because these are often ingrained to us for many, many years, and even programming to us by our parents, teachers, and sometimes it's outside of our awareness. But the truth is that it's not difficult. Believe me, it's not difficult. What you need to do is to have a consequences and link it to the pain or unpleasant event, so you would rather give up that thought and start experiencing the consequences. I'll give you an example how we do this. I'll share a story of my client. I will not share the name because I don't have permission to take the name, but I'll share her story with you. She wanted to lose weight due to her health reasons, but she was certain that she cannot give up her habit of addiction of eating chocolate cakes. And she loved it so much that she was eating at least 2 servings of um, 2 servings of Cheesecake Factory cake every day. So I reviewed her documents, our recommendation, what the doctor said, and the importance of being healthy. She agreed to it, but she was certain that she cannot give up the habit. So I said to her, okay, this is what I want you to do. On a given day, when you eat more than 2 teaspoons of chocolate cake or whatever cake, bake a cake from scratch, no mixes. Actually, bake 2 cakes from scratch, no mixes, and take it to the women's shelter. And I'll give you the address. And on second day, if you eat again more than 2 teaspoons of cake, again bake a cake and take it to the women's shelter. But on a day when you eat just 2 teaspoons of the cake, you don't have to do anything. Why I explain it to her in such a way, because I want to tell her that even though she wanted to keep destroying her health, but at least something good will come out from this exercise, because the cakes will brighten the day of women in the shelter. So she reluctantly agreed. And for many days, she was unable to control herself, and she was continuously making the cakes and delivering to the women's shelter. So what happened, as a result, she was very much loved by those women, and she started making friends there. And her cakes were so popular over there that she decided to turn into a cakes business along with her daughter. And eventually, she was nauseated by the smell of baking cakes in her house every day, that she stopped eating cakes and lost the weight. Yes, she lost the weight. And not only she lost the weight, but she contributed to the women's shelter. It was very much appreciated. She connected with her daughter in a very special way that was truly mother and daughter connection. And now she runs a designer cake business on Instagram. This is what I want for you: success in many areas. So this woman had a limiting belief that she cannot give her habit of eating cakes. But through different experience, through new experience, I showed her that her limiting belief is not true at all. Everything is in your control. So I want to ask you, what are your limiting beliefs? Type in the chat. Take some moment, think for a while, and type in the chat. What are your limiting beliefs?
Fantastic, Woman. As people do that, I'll just ask you. One of the things while you were talking, it came to my mind as well, about this idea of fear. I'll let you finish, Woman, and I think an important conversation we want to also have with our friends is why there is a fear of change that people have. But I'll let you finish your thought, Woman, and then I'll come on and go ahead, please.
Okay, so guys, I want to write your limiting beliefs and identify it, that what is it? If you want help, if you can think in such a way that these are the beliefs that are the phrases of your daily life, and you habitually tell it to yourself that you are hypnotized in such a way that you cannot do. For example, I cannot do, I'm too shy, I cannot speak, I'm not good at this. So, and these phrases becomes your negative incantations, and that prevents you to accomplish whatever you want. So write it down, these negative incantation, and then I'll ask you to write your positive incantation. And I'll tell you what you need to do with your positive incantation, but just write it down, and you can also type in the chat. If you have written down your positive incantations, actually these serve as a counter incantations of your negative ones. So in the next couple of days, if these negative incantations creep up in your mind, you can immediately counter it with your positive incantation. That yes, you can do it. And this is the most simplest way to deal with your limiting beliefs. Now I'll let Omar to speak. You were saying something.
Very good.
Omar.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Just wanted to, Momina, just build on what you said. I saw a couple of people message while you were speaking as well, talking about fear and uncertainty. Well, let me actually engage the audience. Let me ask you guys a little bit in the, for those of us who are listening, may I please quickly get you in the chat box and ask you a question? For those of you who you know, have dealt with the sessions we've done in the past, maybe you'll know an answer to this. How many fears is a human child, a human baby born with? Let's get some answers in. We've got close to 70 odd people on the call. Let's get some answers in. How many fears a human baby, a human child born with? Let's get some answers in. Ali saying 0, AK saying 0. Let's get some answers in. How many fears a human child, a human baby born with? Jeremy saying just 1. Let's see what else you guys say. How many fears is a human baby born with? Well, our research has shown that a human child, a human baby is born with 3 fears. We're born with the fear of loud noise, right? We're born with the fear of falling. So, you know, that's why, you know, fear of heights is an innate fear. And we're born with the fear of drowning. So babies hold their breath underwater. Every other fear we were not born with, we learned it. The good news is, because we learned it, we can unlearn it as well. Fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of failure. The one thing that stands between us and what we want to achieve, the fear of failure. Quickly, in the chat box, let me engage you and ask you, have you heard of something called a palliative care unit in the hospitals? Have you heard of the palliative care units in the hospital? Abdul Wahab says, yes, a couple of more people. Love to hear from you. Have you heard of the palliative care unit in the hospitals? A palliative care unit, of course, pain management, you know, kind of, you know, the doctors give somebody, you know, 4 to 6 months to live. It's pain management. So they did a survey in 26 palliative care units around the world. And they asked those people who were dying, they asked them, what was your biggest regret in life? Love to hear from you. Love to hear from your thoughts in chat box. What do you think they said? What do you think was the biggest regret of the dying? What do you think? What could be what could be what could be our biggest regret? What do you think they said? Love to hear from you. What do you think they said? What do you think was a regret they had? Let's get some answers in from you. Love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, of course. Number 3 was, I wish I'd spend more time with my loved ones. Jeremy was number 3. I wish I'd spend more time with my loved ones. Number 2, actually, believe it or not, was religion. I wish I was more religious. Because, you know, when the plane hits turbulence, we all become a little bit more religious, no? So number 2 was religion. And number one was, I wish I'd taken more risk. I wish I started that business. I wish I started that project. I wish I would have asked her to marry me. I wish I was so busy living my life with the fear of failure that I never did the things that I wanted to do. So fear of failure, a big determinant of our altitude in life. And also, you want to know something crazy, guys? You want to know something crazy? You know, so many of these, thank you, Ali, so many of these fears, so many of these fears, you know, when they're born, guys, you know something crazy? You want to know something crazy? They're born between the ages of 2 and 6. What's it? Between the ages of 2 and 6 in the core limbic system, emotional energy is being created in the ages of 2 and 6. And for those of you who are parents, for those of you who've got young children, my goodness, so important. The words we use, so important. The language we use, are we using deficit-based language? Deficit-based language, like it'll never happen, it won't happen, it can't happen. Remember the last person who tried to do this? No, it won't change, it'll never change. Be careful of the language you use. That language will become their way of thinking. And of course, they'll end up like us, which we don't want them. So let me talk to you a little bit about fear, and let me talk to you a little bit about anxiety and stress, and let me now talk to you about how do we handle change. So Momina spoke very critically, very importantly. I love what she said about visualization of success. Quickly, in the chat box, we've got close to 70 odd people on the call. I'd like to hear from everybody. Anybody here read the book, The Secret? Anybody here read the book, The Secret? Let's get some yeses, let's get some no's. Let me get some answers in. Have you read the book, The Secret? Very good. Let me get some answers in. Have you read the book, The Secret by Rhonda Byron? Rhonda Byron spoke about The Secret. It was written initially in 1600s. It was rewritten in 1963. Rhonda Byron spoke about The Secret, the laws of attraction. What does The Secret speak about? Quickly in the chat box, for those of you who've read it, what does The Secret say? What does The Secret say? Let's get some answers in. Critical part of our conversation, dealing with change, managing yourself through the new normal, aspect of life. Nizar saying love attracts love. Nizar, I love it. Success attracts success. Positivity. You surround yourself with negative people, guess who you will become? You hang out with dogs, you catch fleas. That wasn't The Secret, I just made that up myself. Look, all I'm just saying is you will become what you think about most of the time. Whatever you focus on becomes bigger. So people who talk about things they don't have in their life is full of things they don't have. I have a question for you. I need your engagement. I need your participation to catch you. Let me ask you guys in the chat box, for those of you young, who have young children, let me ask you, let's say your son or your daughter come home from school and they show you the report card, and the report card says A, C, F. All right, quickly in the chat box, let me know if you see the report card. It says A, C, F. What's the first thing you notice on that report card? What's the first thing you notice on their report card? What do you notice? F's, and Nizar saying maybe A, and it's a little different. Irfan saying F. Iqbal Ali saying F. Abdul Qadir saying F. Jeremy saying, of course. Why is it not all A's? Why is there an F? Why is there a C? Nafar saying, of course, I noticed the F. May I ask you, for those of you who are responding, love to hear from you. Why do our eyes go towards the F? For those of you who said, most of you said, our eyes go towards the F. For why do our eyes go towards the F? In a typical performance appraisal, I know for many of you in your organizations right now, you're going through performance appraisal. In a typical performance appraisal, how much time is spent on what went well, and how much time is spent on, well, what you could do better is, right? How come we focus on the gaps? How come we focus on what we don't have? How come negative news sells faster? How come CNN, which stands for constant negative news, is the most watched, news outlet there? Why? Yeah, well, 5 minutes exactly, Omar. Yeah, 30 minutes spent on what went wrong exactly, right? You never want your children to fail, Irfan is saying. But look, Irfan, there's two ways to succeed, right? There's one way to say is that, look, you had a C in physics last time, now you have an A, you had a C in chemistry, now you have an A. Let's go celebrate the A's. We'll look at the F later, right? For those of you who play sports, from those of you who have a sports background, you know, and please listen, this is very important. For those of you who know, that those teams that come with the fear of failure, those teams that come and play because they don't want to fail, what happens? All they talk about is failure, right? As opposed to those teams that want to succeed. A few years ago, the Italian football team didn't make it to the World Cup. The Italians missed the first World Cup, I think, since like 60 years. And if you look at the Wall Street Journal article that was written at the time, they only needed to win 2 of their last 7 games to qualify. But what they kept telling each other is, what if we fail? What if we, one more? Oh my God, 5, oh my, 4 left. What if, oh my, when you will become what you think about most of the time. Whatever you focus on becomes bigger. I love what Momina said. People who have a very clear vision of success always find a way to get there, because what's the alternative? If you don't know what success looks like, one day you'll be successful and not know it. Let me repeat that. If we don't know what success looks like, one day we will be successful and not know it, right? Exactly, Rizwan. So how important it is for us to know what success looks like, right? I'll tell you a quick story real quick. Visualization of success is how it works, right? Back many years ago, I used to have a real job before this. No, I'm kidding. So I used to be a stockbroker in Canada. That's why I'm so messed up. So for many years when I was doing that, I had the chance to meet this guy. Quickly in the chat box, let me ask you, anybody seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness? The movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith? Anybody seen that movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith? Yeah, I see some thumbs up. Yeah, I see some. Yeah. So what happened is in 2008, I got the chance to spend a few minutes with this guy, Chris Gardner, the actual guy from Pursuit of Happiness. And there's one thing he taught me, and I want to share with you. He asked me, how do I do my appointments and my meetings, right? So I was a stockbroker, and I was like a finance guy, like many of you, and people would come, husband and wife typically, and to invest with me, and I'd show them their chart, and I show them rate of returns, I show them their risk profile, their profits. And after what he taught me, I started changing the way I did things. So husband and wife would typically come and sit in front of me, and I'd say, so, all right, so what do you want to do? And they'd say, well, we want to invest money. And I'd say, well, why do you want to invest money? And they'd say, well, we want to make money. And I'd say, well, why do you want to make money? And then half of them wouldn't even have the answer. The other half would say, want to buy a house. And I'd say, what kind of a house? And I promise you 80% of them didn't know the answer. So what I do is I take a pen, I take a piece of paper, and I start drawing their house, right? I promise you guys, they would go like this, right? Sleazy broker gonna sell me something to, do you think we can afford this? I'd start drawing their house. I'd say, how many bedrooms? What color furniture? What part of the city? What is the swimming pool in the back? What does your back? So I'd start visualization of success. The clearer the vision of success was, they would ask me the question, how much money do we need to give you to get to this? My friends, I want to emphasize to you the importance of visualization of success. You know why many of us struggle with this, including myself and Momina? You know why we struggle with this? Because nobody taught us this in school. Let me ask you quickly in the chat box, love to hear from all of you. Do you know the difference between left brain and right brain thinking? Quick, let me get some yeses, let me get some no's in the chat box. Quick. Do we have some, do you know the difference between left brain and right brain thinking? Let me get some answers in. Yeah, left brain, right brain. Yeah, of course. Let's get some answers in. Yeah. What kind of thinking comes from the left brain? Quick. What kind of thinking comes from the left brain? From the left, like from the left side of our head, like from the left side of our head. What kind of thinking? Yeah, very good, Mark. Of course you know, Mark. Of course you know. You wrote the theory. No, I'm just kidding. One of my good friends, Mark. So left brain, of course, yeah, Khushbu, you got it. Jeremy, the other way, mate. Left brain is the more logical, factual, scientific, mathematical, engineering, pilot side of the brain, Jeremy, right? The more analytical side of the brain. The right brain is the more creative, artistic, emotionally intelligent side of the brain. Now, let me ask you, whether you went to school in Pakistan or any other part of the world, what part of the brain do they develop in our typical school system? In our typical school system, guys, what part of the brain do they develop in our typical school system? Left brain, of course, left brain. Most people will say left. What part of the brain do they develop in our typical school curriculum? Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to say neither, neither left nor right. Oh, that's ICAP. No, I'm kidding. So in our left brain, we develop the more logical, factual, scientific. Of course, very few people develop the creative, artistic, visionary side of the brain. And that's why many of us struggle with strategic, creative, innovative, emotionally intelligent thinking. Remember, guys, the brain is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. It's like trying to go to the gym and trying to lift 300 pounds, right? You can't do it. Or maybe you can, and I just can't, right? So if you like going to the gym and trying to lift 300 pounds, you can't. But if you keep working at it, what happens? The muscles develop and you can. The same thing with the brain. The more neural pathways develop, the more you can think of things a certain way, the easier it becomes. Creative, innovative, strategic thinking is the pathway to managing yourself through the new normal. ICAP, if you're listening to me, I want your attention. I want your focus. Managing yourself through the new normal will begin with the visualization of success. It will begin with understanding what success will look like once we're done with the situation we are in. And the second thing it'll take a lot of adaptability, agility. Let me ask you, my friends, what are you doing? How have you been doing? What have I been doing for the past year? Have we learned a skill? Have we upskilled ourselves, ICAP? Have we learned a language? Have we learned coding? Have we taken a tutorial, a course? Are we on our way to become better versions of ourselves? Or are we just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Managing fear, comfort zone, outside the comfort zone. You know, most success in our life takes place just outside the comfort zone in an area called the stretch zone. Ali saying, I finished all the series on Netflix. I love it. I was still in your comfort zone, Ali. Right? So comfort zone, just outside the comfort zone, an area called stretch zone. And then, of course, the area outside called the panic zone, where we don't want to be, Look, the way I'm going to run this is I do have a couple of questions, Momina, so we're going to do it a little bit differently, Momina, just for the sake of time. I know we've got 15 minutes or so before we wrap up. So, Momina, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and just my apologies, I'm going to have to give you a time kind of a limit because I want to make sure we cover some points. And of course, we want to take some questions as well, Momina. Both you and I will take some questions at the end also. But let me ask you a question, Momina. Why do you think, Momina, in your opinion, with all the people that you have coached or you are dealing with, why do you think most human beings resist change, Momina? Even when we know the change is good for us, why do most people resist change? Momina, you want to say something? I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts. If you want to unmute, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, over to you.
Yes, that's a very good question, that why people resist the change, because they don't understand themselves, that what they need. And it gives me a new topic to introduce. When people understand their needs, what they want from their life, what they want to achieve, they will strive for it. Once they know their limiting beliefs, once they know their fears and how to overcome it, they definitely work for it. Now, I want to introduce one important topic here. Let me share the slide first. Yeah. Okay. Okay, now here I want to introduce one important concept of 6 human needs. Whatever people do, they have a reason. They might not be aware of it consciously, but there is always a reason. When somebody commits a suicide, there is a reason. When somebody tries to save someone, there is a reason. When somebody wants to make more money, there is a reason. When somebody works 18 hours a day, there is a reason. But here is good news, that whatever culture, whatever country you belong, there are only 6 reasons to it. And we call it 6 human needs. The stories might be different, but the needs are same. So first need is the certainty. Certainty is our survival need. We want to avoid pain. We want to be in comfort zone. We want to feel comfortable in our relationship and our environment. So some sort of certainty, everyone needs it, and it's really important. Knowing that I have a roof on my head, I know where the next meal will come from, and the neighbor will not attack to me. But there's a question for you. How would you feel when you know everything before a moment has happened? How would you feel? Initially, maybe you can type in the chat. Initially, maybe you will be really excited to know everything, that you know everything before a moment is happening. But after a while, when you know everything, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what's going to happen, with whom it's going to happen, how would you feel it? Type in the chat. I would feel bored. I would feel out of my mind, because I need uncertainty. And what is uncertainty? Yeah, some people are saying purpose gone, no surprises. That's why the need for certainty is really important. We like to have surprises. But tell me one thing, how many of you like surprises? Type in the chat. How many of you like surprises? Quickly, guys, quickly. Not too many. Good. Yes, I do. Good surprises. That's very nice. But I would say these are wrong answers. Why? Because you like the surprises that you want. And all other surprises that you don't want, you call it problems, right? But some sort of excitement in our life, it makes it really feel lively. Some people meet their need of uncertainty or variety by reading a book, by talking to a friend, by smoking, by indulging into a bad habit, by studying also. So some sort of uncertainty is always needed. And the more uncertainty you will accept in your life, the more quality you will have. The next need is significance. Everyone wants to feel significant, wanted, needed. And but where it comes from? It comes from the comparison ourselves with the others. And in the quest of significance, we always involve in the question of superiority and inferiority. You can feel significant by doing something, achieving something, accomplishing something. And you can also feel significant by tearing down somebody or something. But the good thing about significance is that it helps us to raise our standards. The other need is that, but the problem is that if you're overly feeling, if you want to overly have focus on significance, you will start having problem in truly connecting with others, because significance focus on differences rather than commonalities, which is very important for love and connection. So for love and connection, everyone wants to love, to connect with people, and everyone strives for and hopes for love. But some people really experience love, but they find a way to be connected in the community and in their workplace. Some people feel love by giving gifts, dressing in a special way, praying to God. But the question is that not that what are your needs? The question is that how you are meeting your needs. Is it a positive way? Is it a negative way? It's easy, difficult. What are the vehicles that you are using to meet your needs? So these 4 needs are personality needs, and everyone find a way to meet all those needs. But the last 2 needs, which is growth and contribution, these are needs for spread. So for growth, you feel growth. You want to grow every day. Like we grow physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. So some people want to experience growth by just reading a book or attending a seminar, like you guys are attending a seminar. Some people want to study in school or college to feel that they are constantly growing in the true sense. The other needs is about contribution, going beyond ourselves and meeting others' needs. It's really important for us to feel the sense of contribution, and it gives you inner joy and inner peace. Some people do contribution by serving in the community, some people by donations, planting trees, and some just want to contribute to their own children. So these needs are really important. And what I want you to do, list the order of your needs that are more important to you. For example, if your need of certainty is more important to you, it should come first. If the second one is uncertainty, just write it down. So write your order of your needs in the way it is important for you.
Fantastic. Fantastic, Momina. Thank you so much. Just wanted to, Momina, build on something that you've just said. Again, thank you so much for adding value, Momina, to your conversation on understanding change, understanding why people behave the way they do. Like I said, I really enjoyed your piece around the visualization of success and how we can help individuals and people become the best version of themselves, and also why people behave the way they do by an understanding of their needs, their top needs. Please remember this session is being broadcast live on YouTube, so you will be able to review it later as well. And of course, the session is being recorded also. So Yasser, if you allow me, let me take about 10 to 12 minutes of your time. I wanted to just wrap up a couple of thoughts from my side. And then Yasser, of course, we'll leave it open to maybe a few minutes if people have any questions, and then we'll wrap up. Is that okay, Yasser?
Sounds good, Umar. We can do that. We have 10 minutes, but we can exceed. So that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So let me just take a few minutes quickly. I wanted to, guys, because really nobody listens to me at home. This is my only opportunity to talk where people can listen to me unconditionally. Look, I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about happiness. I want to talk to you a little bit about the happiest people in the world. I think it'll add value to us when we talk about managing ourselves to the new normal. I think if there's one thing this situation can teach us, one thing this situation has taught us, happiness, real happiness, comes not from fulfilling your own needs, it comes from fulfilling the needs of someone else. What a fantastic point Momina made around growth and around contribution, right? So look at this, guys. There's a fantastic survey out there which looks at levels of dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, the 4 hormones responsible for happiness. So what they've done is they've looked at hormone levels of those people who commit random acts of kindness on those who receive random acts of kindness. So for example, those of you, people who held the elevator door open for somebody as they were walking in, or they call their old friend to tell them how proud they are of what they'd achieved, or they call their parents to tell them how much they love them, or they call their, or they created a random act of kindness. Would you believe that the level of endorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, the hormones responsible for happiness, were higher in the blood of people who committed the act of kindness than those who received the act of kindness? So making other people feel happier made you feel even happier. The more we give, the more we get. The laws of attraction, in Arabic, they call it fitra. Yani the fitra we are born on is to give. So I ask you, one of the ways in which we can come out of this better off as a society, as human beings, is, I guess, the ability to give and to contribute. You don't have to be a life coach, a successful life coach like Momina. You don't have to be, experts in certain subjects to become coaches. Sometimes great coaching, all right, listen to this, all right? A great coach gets you to do what he or she wants you to do by letting you do things you want to do. Let me repeat that. A great coach gets you to do what he or she wants you to do by letting you do things you want to do. So anybody can be a great coach. You don't have to be an expert on a topic to be a great coach. In fact, those who are experts are usually not great coaches. Please do not confuse my comment with the Pakistan cricket team. I have no pun that I have intended to make there. Allow me also to talk about positivity and negativity. Quickly, love to hear from you in the chat box. My second last question to you for the evening. Quick comment will be appreciated. Positivity and negativity. Is this something we are born with, or is it something we learn? Is it nature, or is it nurture, ICAP? What do you think, guys? Nature or nurture? Positivity and negativity. Are we born positive? Are we born negative? Or do we learn it? Ali is saying we learn it. Let's get a couple of more answers in. It's nurture, Asif Zaman says. Ghulam says we learn it, but both actually. Sadika says circumstances. Jeremy saying a positivity, nurture. Omar saying combination of both. Again, guys, thank you so much for your brilliant participation and engagement. What a great session we've had. One of the ways in which, so 700 PhD papers written, 700 PhD papers written on this topic. No conclusion yet. I'll tell you what I think. I think human beings are positive creatures. I think we wake up every day thinking that today will be better than yesterday. But then something happens to us, right, where we become negative. Quickly, ICAP, let me know, do you know any negative people in your life? Do you know any negative people in your life? Do you know any negative people in your life? Do you know any people where your success makes them unhappy or sad or mad? Ali saying she's in the next room. Brilliant. A lot. Do you know any negative people? Do you know people where your success makes them unhappy or sad? I know there's some people on the call who don't understand Urdu, they prefer English, but I'll just say, I heard somebody say the other day, कुछ पाकिस्तानियों का ऐसा दिमाग हो गया कि अगर मेरे पास भी भैंस है और मेरे नेबर के पास भी भैंस है, मैं ये दुआ नहीं कर रहा मेरी दो हो जाए, मैं दुआ कर रहा हूँ उसकी मर जाए. What? So what I'm not even going to translate that in English, but basically the point is negativity, right? So negativity breeds negativity. Warren Buffett, Richard Branson, Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey say you will become the average or the closest 5 people you surround yourself with. You will become the average of the closest 5 people you surround yourself with. You will become the average income, average IQ, average lifestyle. That's why I find it funny when people say, all my friends are losers. we become the we become the average of our environment. Please be conscious of the environment that you are in, and if you do not find any positivity in your environment, then join ICAP. No, if you do not find any positivity in your environment, then be the change you want to see. Be the change that you want to see. I don't know, mate. I don't know if it's a Pakistani thing. I think it's a global thing. Of course, negativity, unfortunately, like I said, it breeds negativity. Surround yourself with positive people. And for those of you who have young children, please, be careful of the language you use in front of them, not deficit-based language, but rather abundance language, language of abundance, a mindset of abundance, and not a mindset of scarcity. Allow me to summarize our conversation, and then we will leave the floor open for any questions to myself or to Momina. So we started this discussion with this impactful conversation about stress, what stress does, the impact of stress. I spoke to you about the health impacts of stress. Just to make sure you were listening, quickly in the chat box, ICAP, I know you guys are good students. Let's see who remembered in the chat box. What were the 5 levels of listening I spoke about? What were the 5 levels of listening? Let's see if you were listening, ICAP. Let's see if you were listening. Somebody in the chat box, what were these 5 levels of listening I spoke about? We said stress impacts listening, and then I spoke about 5 levels. Oh, fantastic, Jeremy. What a great student. Abdul Wahab, love it. Thank you so much. You make me so happy. I can finally, I can go to sleep in peace. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so ignoring, and then pretending, and then selective, and then active. Faraz, Feroz, thank you so much. Fantastic. The highest level of listening, then empathy, empathic listening, where you listen not with your ears, you listen with your heart. You listen not with the intent to reply, you listen with the intent to understand. Then we spoke about how the tiger and the fear and the stomach and the blood, and how decision making is impacted under high levels of anxiety, stress, and change. We spoke about stages of change. Quickly in the chat box, ICAP, let me know, what were these stages of change? Yasser, get it. Asif Zaman, Dr. Hadi, Khushbu, what was the stages of change we spoke about? Let's go, ICAP. We said there were stages of change. We said the first stage of change is kind of this idea of shock, right? We said there's shock. And then after shock, oh, look at that, Faraz, what a great student. Somebody promote this guy. Shock and denial, and then anger, and then hurt. And then, of course, acceptance or healing takes place at some stage. And then there's some new success, and then new confidence. And then before you know it, you're back to where we were before. Fantastic. These are stages of reactive change. I loved some of the things that Momina spoke about. I love how she spoke about coaching and how coaching can help and life coaching can help. Momina, if you'd like, I'd love for you to put your credentials, your name, and maybe your email address in the chat box as well, so people can reach out to you if they want to talk to you about life coaching and how coaches can help people manage themselves through change. Then I came back and then I spoke about fear. How many fears was a human baby born with? Quickly in the chat box. Let's see if now you remember how many fears. Of course, accountants remember numbers. Of course, they remember numbers. Of course. So we spoke about fantastic. We spoke about fear and spoke about when this fear is created, and then how do we deal with fear. And we spoke about positivity and negativity. We spoke about very importantly, change, or you will be changed. If you work the same way for 10 years, you haven't worked 10 years. You work your first year 10 times. We spoke very critically and importantly about the comfort zone, stretch zone, and panic zone. And then I shared with you this idea of happiness. We said people who are the happiest in life are those that are surrounded by tried, tested, and trusted relationships. And we said real happiness comes not from fulfilling your own needs, it comes from fulfilling the needs of someone else. Whew. That's it, folks. That's it. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for your engagement. What a fantastic session. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you so much, guys, for your great comments and your feedback. Look, before I open it up to any questions, I just want to say thank you to Momina, of course. What a fantastic job she did as well, talking about her ideas and concepts around coaching and need. I just want to say thank you to Yasser Gedit from ATH Catalan. What a fantastic organization, Yasser, you and your partners are running, and congratulations on ICAP's success as well. I want to thank Asif Zaman, of course, Azhar, Khushbu, and all the people who are responsible for putting these sessions together. And for the 70, 80 plus people who have participated and engaged with us, I want to say thank you to you as well. I'm sure, inshallah, we'll get another opportunity to speak to you at some point as well. I'll leave the floor open to any questions, maybe 3-4 minutes before I turn it over to Yasser to wrap up the session. If you want to unmute and ask a question, please feel free, 30 seconds. Otherwise, please do leave your comment and question in the chat box. If you can tell us the steps of becoming rich, the moment I figure it out myself, Yasser, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Oh, well, look, it depends on how you define richness, right? I think richness is in relationships. That's what poor people say. Anyway, any other questions, any other comments? I'd love to hear from you if you've got any comments or questions in the chat box. Maybe we've got 2-3 minutes for myself or for Momina. Yeah, very good. Let's get a couple of, thank you so much for your comments, guys. Thank you so much. By the way, some of you are messaging me privately as well. There's a little tab there for on all participants. Thank you so much again for your great feedback. Let me take Ghulam's question here. I just want to thank you, Amar. Thank you so much. I just want to take Amar's question. Ghulam Mohiddin's question. I'll take it. And of course, Momina, if you have anything to add quickly, please feel free. I'll just want to take that final question and then I'll turn it over to Yasser. Talk about multitasking. So remember, guys, there's 3 levels of the brain. Okay, there's 3 levels of the brain: the conscious, the pre-conscious, the subconscious level of the brain. Most of us operate with a conscious level, right? Like if I'm speaking right now and I say something and you're not listening, and if you say, Omar, sorry, can you repeat what you said? That will be from the conscious level of the brain. You can only focus on about 1 thought per moment. From the pre-conscious brain, from the autopilot brain, is where multitasking happens. Ghulam Mohiddin, you can focus on about 8 to 9 different things from your pre-conscious brain, 8 to 9 different things that allow you to multitask. And the 3rd level of the brain is the subconscious brain. Nobody knows how many thoughts per moment. Ghulam Mohiddin, the only thing I'll say is if you operate only from the pre-conscious brain, if you operate only through autopilot behavior, there's no growth or progress that takes place, right? So be careful. Multitasking, the more things, up to 8 or 9 things you can manage at one point, that's the cerebral capacity. That's the capacity of the human brain. You can manage up to 8 to 9 different things. The more you practice, the better you get. Just be careful. When you're doing that, you're not growing. You're not growing. You're not becoming better at something. You only grow when you focus on things from your subconscious and your conscious brain. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Omar. I would like
Momina,
to
go
add
ahead, please.
multitasking that in the life coaching, there's a strategy on multitasking, and we call it rapid planning method. It's about what result you want to achieve, what is the purpose, and what's the massive action you want to take. If you would like to understand and learn about this planning method, it's you can contact me on my page, which I mentioned in the chat, or directly email me. I can explain to you. It's a big topic, but it's not possible for me to cover it here. But this method is absolutely fantastic and is used by Tony Robbins by himself every day, and I use it every day. So feel free to contact me on this one. And regarding the question of Asif Zaman, how to cope up with the depression. So in case of depression, there's no one fit medicine for it that I give, that we give you, and depression is gone. We have to identify like what is the causes of the depression, what happens to you, what happens inside in your body, in your mind, and then we work on the depression. Depression and anxiety are the most difficult things to deal with, but it's possible. You can overcome. So
fantastic. Fantastic. Momina, thank you for your answer. Allow me to wrap up from my side. Yasser, let me turn the mic over to you. Once again, thank you so much, guys, for your listening and your participation and your engagement. And inshallah, I'm sure we'll get another opportunity to speak to you as well. Yasser, get it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Umar. Thank you very much, Momina. Ali, over to you. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Yasir. And must say it's good to see that COVID has not impacted Umar's ability to, hold the session, and all his anxiety is, I think, more probably doubled in COVID. So we'll have to catch up later, Umar. I don't know what you have done with this last year. I would like to start by thanking His Excellency Mr. Ahmad Amjad Ali, who graced us. I know he's not here now, but if we will convey our thank you to him again. It was very kind of him to, bless us with this occasion. I mean, he spared time from his very busy schedule to join our session. Again, a very warm thank you to Mr. Ashfaq Tola Sahab, who also joined the session and gave us his valuable feedback. It was definitely a great learning or session from Momina, and I'm really amazed that our ICAP member, one of our ICAP member, is a life coach. Something to be, look forward to connecting with Momina again, and we'll hopefully have more sessions. So, to all our members, thank you for joining in, for dialing in. But we really need your support, and we need people to come forward. Not only tell us what sessions are of interest to you, what you would like to learn, but also come forward with presenters, with speakers, and help us organize sessions. We are a body of few members, roughly 900 to 1,000 in the UAE, and out of that, you can see very, very few have joined in. So we need more people to come forward, more people to help us organize these sessions. We cannot do it without your help. So again, thanks to everyone, for our two speakers, and special thanks again to Yasir and all of our management committee for making this event happen. And looking forward to our coming sessions. Hopefully, you'll hear more from us in the coming 2-3 weeks. We have a very exciting line of events and sessions planned in this quarter, and then we'll hopefully roll out a calendar for rest of the year. Wishing you all a great evening and the rest of the year ahead. Thanks, Yasir. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Ali. Thank you very much, Momina, Safwai, Khushbu, Mustajab, Swana, Asif, Azhar, everyone. The entire managing committee has been very, very helpful in making sure that we deliver the right content to the audience. So on that note, thank you very much. Allah Hafiz, everyone. We'll catch up soon.
And thanks to our sponsors also.
Thank you very much. That is very, very important, Asif. Thanks to our sponsors, Mystic, AGMC, and SHMA Consulting.
They will not sponsor if you don't thanks to them next time.
Yeah, this is very, very important. And then on that note, we need more sponsorship in order to organize future events. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.